Okay, now for the tools. There are four basic kinds of tools used to further the goals of this program. There's a mind control, mind reading infrastructure, a reasonably small number of operatives, a collection of standardized tricks, and a disinformation ecosystem, which is there to mislead you as well as discredit you. First, this infrastructure. There's no reliable or authoritative information about how it works. There's just layers upon layers of disinformation, speculation, and wishful thinking. Without saying how it works, I'm just going to point out that it seems to be usable on many people, not just the targets complaining about it. But it's a big stretch to say that it's usable on everyone. You might be in a heavily controlled area. You might have been moving around to get away, and without realizing it, you were herded into other heavily controlled areas. You're not going to get me to say that it's usable on everyone. So the infrastructure is used on people around you to get them to act out, to help them give signs they're in on it, to herd people into your area so it looks like there's always someone watching you. Keep in mind, this isn't the only thing the mind control infrastructure is used for. Just the fact that it exists should be creepy enough without the rumored applications. In case you haven't figured this out yet, you've stumbled across something much bigger than just a few losers harassing you. Okay, there's also going to be stuff that happens which can't be pinned on mind control. Break-ins that happen when you're not around, for example. This can be pulled off with a small number of operatives. They've got other things to do. You're probably just one of the many jobs in the area. And those operatives probably aren't around for long.
Hey, that's what Charles Manson did. It's called creepy crawling.
People are actively messing with your property when you're not looking. That really helps out with some of the tricks that are pulled on you later. Next, there's a collection of standardized tricks. I can go over them. I could spend a couple of hours listing the tricks, but as I was saying earlier, you have to adopt a mindset. Good tricks will often involve a distraction. You have to look beyond the distraction. This is hard, but it gets easier when you're aware you're being tricked. But you also have to be aware that mind control technology adds a new dimension to the tricks used. I've gone over many tricks of this nature on a previous podcast, the Sleight of Mind podcast. Let me rehash a couple of them now. Going back to this concept of operatives moving in nearby, remember, I said one purpose of the operatives is to teach you that people are breaking into your place. So when you wake up one morning and you find evidence someone's gotten in during the night, let's say a couple of objects have been moved around, you're going to attribute that to break-in artists. There are other possibilities, such as the objects had already been moved before you went to sleep for the night, and you didn't notice because it was dark. But let's say you've ruled that out. Maybe you were mind controlled to move the objects yourself in your sleep. But you attribute it to break-in artists who are somehow able to climb into top-story windows in the middle of the night in a residential neighborhood without anyone noticing. It's baffling to you, and it sounds crazy to others. Another one, a big category of tricks, is one that I call causality inversion. You do something, and there seems to be a major reaction to it. On television, for example. And you're thinking, my God, the amount of manpower devoted to this must be huge. They have connections everywhere. But no, your handler had advanced knowledge of this major event and made you act it out in advance using mind control technology. Another one that I just dissected recently, this idea of energy weapons that seem to act like lasers, burning the surface of the skin with precise placement, but can somehow penetrate through walls in a windowless room and can track you even if you try to escape. Now, this shouldn't be possible, but there's a couple of explanations. The first is that you were actually burned some time ago, painlessly, and then mind control technology was used to give you pain in that area of the body. The second possibility, do you know how secure your living quarters are? Are you sure nobody's getting to you at night? Because what could be happening is, maybe there's some metal granules or particles that have been injected under your skin where the burns are going to appear. Then they just send a relatively low-power microwave beam into your residence. which the rest of your body doesn't really feel, but it superheats the surface of those metal particles. Read up on the skin effect. So the microwave beam goes through a wide swath of your body, only superheating the portion of your body where those metal particles are, burning your skin in a precise pattern. Okay, so those are some tricks. There are many more, far too many to cover on this call. The fourth tool used in this program is a disinformation ecosystem. It's there to mislead you and to mislead the public about you. It's enormous. I can't debunk all the disinformation you're going to confront on this call or even in my lifetime. That's because one of the biggest sources of disinformation is you. Disinformation spreads because it gives people something they want. What targets want is official acknowledgement of their problems, vindication. So they're going to spread anything that looks like an official source, anything written by someone who looks like an authority, anything that looks like it's talking about their problems in a credible way. There is no reliable, authoritative information about these matters. You might think there is, but no. All that's out there is speculation, flat-out fabrication, and the testimony of targets like you who have gotten their information from the least trustworthy people in the world, their handlers. You're going to see targets used to scapegoat other groups, to pin the blame for these operations on other groups. You're going to run into targets who are convinced of supernatural forces or ETs that are responsible. It's all based on what they've been allowed to see, with confirmation provided by other people who have been hoodwinked. Now, the public in the past was occasionally allowed a glimpse into the ecosystem. These days, it's more than occasionally. It's being put in their faces. It's been turned into a form of entertainment, profitable entertainment. It's a disinformation ecosystem. It's colossal. And the only way you're going to disengage from it is to adopt this mindset that I keep harping on. Understand that deception is the name of the game. Look beyond the distractions. Don't let yourself be put to work on their edifice of disinformation. If they can't profit from using you this way, they're going to let you go. Targets play another part in this ecosystem, an important part. They're kept apart on purpose. They're forced to communicate verbally, and words are misleading. Most people don't look for the truth beyond the words. People on the calls toss around phrases like energy weapons, but when you dig in to find out what they're really talking about, a lot of the time they're talking about something else. Targets are used to terrorize other targets. Earlier, I said energy weapons and other kinds of physical assaults don't seem to be specifically part of this program. It seems to be mostly about psychology and mind control. But maybe there are targets who are in this program and some other program at the same time. Or maybe part of the grand strategy is to single out a few targets for special treatment, hard targeting. Those heavily targeted people are driven onto the calls to terrify other targets. It's like 9/11.